1 minute there, Mr. LeDuff.
Your cigarette, Mr. LeDuff.
Your light, Mr. LeDuff.
Your beer, Mr. LeDuff.
Your robe, Mr. LeDuff. Find the air. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, shit. The power went out again.
Live from downtown Detroit, it's No BS News Hour with my main man, LeDuff. No bullshit.
What the fuck?
I knew you were going to say that.
These power companies are bullshit. This is third world. This is special interest. This is the unseen hand, right? It rains and the trees shake, and we've got 850,000 human beings in Michigan without power. Now, okay, a front blows through. You know, it's been, a warm front hanging over the Midwest, everywhere from Iowa to Minnesota to the Dakotas to Sarnia to Toronto. Hello. Okay, so as things happen, the wind comes, cold front moves in, pushes the warm front, boom, big wind, BDB. 850,000 consumers power, and Detroit Edison are a fucking joke. Let me give you a little something here. All but 6 elected representatives in Lansing. The governor, the biggest recipient of this dark money, right? Everybody's taking money from DTE. The rates keep going up, and the power goes out, and the attorney general pretends like she's fighting for us. It's all a game.
Dark money. Get it? Stay in the dark.
That's in the dark money. Okay, so DTE is a publicly traded stock. Who's invested in it? The Michigan Employees Retirement System. So as we spend ourselves into oblivion, we keep raising rates. They don't cut the trees, and the power goes out. Okay, the media's lame on this. I'm not saying reporters are, because I know reporters that keep track of this shit. Their bosses are lame. You're making excuses. This is up to the minute. Let me put the front came in, over a 12-hour period across the Midwest and into Canada. So let me give you, remember this. Here's another lie they're telling you people. How many customers are out of power? Customers are not people. Customers can be a business. Customers can be an apartment complex. Right. Customers can be a household. So 10% of DTE and consumers, customers, are businesses. So we'll take them out.
Okay.
Of this, they're reporting 300, and put the slides up, Mark. They're reporting 350,000 customers in Michigan right now without power, right?
Okay.
So 90% of those are where human beings live. The average amount of people living in a household is 2.5 people. You do the math and voila, it's 850,000 people whose rates keep going up. One of the worst grids in the country. Meanwhile, put the slide back up, Mark. Mark makes decisions when he wants to, but never when I ask him
Which
to.
slide do you want? Ontario?
It's up. No, not Ontario. Put the slide that was just up there. Blow it up a little bit if you can. You can't do that, can you?
I can.
Mark can do anything.
I know.
Just takes me a while.
Yeah, less and less
okay.
he wants to.
It's all right.
Mark's on a work slowdown. It's Labor Day. It's like,
it is.
Fuck what's happening in this company of ours.
There
All
you
right,
go.
there we go. So what we want to see is the numbers, Mark. Okay. So currently in Minnesota, doing that math, About 60,000 people are without power. They had 60-mile-an-hour winds. Okay. In Illinois, about 50,000 people don't have power. In Wisconsin, currently, it was worse yesterday, but right, because they get their power back on.
Right.
About 2,000 people don't have power. Ohio, about 12,000 people don't have power. In our neighborhood, our great friends in Windsor, Ontario, you know, it's like you could swim there from here, right? So whatever came through here went through there. In all of Ontario, 5,000 people are without power. So how is it 850,000 people who can't afford the electricity, the rates keep going up, the auto factories are closing? How's this possible? Okay, you guys, the wind shear. Gusts of 60 miles an hour at Metro Airport. Okay. Remember, 850,000 people. Hurricane Debbie. That was the last big hurricane to hit the United States. It was late last month, or, like July 26th or so. Hurricane Debbie hits Florida, Georgia, and the Carolinas. All put together, 750,000 people without power. So, and I lived in Carolina, right? Yeah. My electricity wasn't underground. It was on the pole. Mm-hmm. Come on, man.
So what's the deal, Charlie?
It's corruption.
Seriously.
It's the unseen hand.
Because think about this too. Once upon a time, I don't remember power outages like this growing up. Like I don't. I remember, we had storms. I don't remember flooding. I don't remember any of these things.
Well, it was like a publicly controlled utility then. Now it's traded on Wall Street, right? It's dividends. Got to make the dividends.
Yeah.
Got to make dividends. Okay. So here is putting the electric cart before the horsepower. Okay. Because today, Uncle Sam announced that Michigan, specifically Ann Arbor and Detroit, will receive $26 million for electrical vehicle charging ports.
Gosh, okay.
So let's just say those are already in. What the fuck is what?
And this is the other thing too, Charlie. When consumers are without power, there's never any credit given. I remember the last time there was a pretty big uproar because it was an extended period, and they said we'll give you $25, but they had some long process that you had to go through to get, and it wasn't even worth it. So why isn't that in place either?
Well, it's just dumb. 20, and Nestle makes a promise we're all getting 25. Gee,
I know, but
thanks.
It's insulting.
Yeah, it is.
Of course it is.
Just give me zero.
It costs you more than $25 in effort and time to get it.
It does.
It does. Even if you're making $15 an hour, it's going to take you more than 2 hours to get that. Oh, by the way, you can't get online to do it because the power's out.
That's true.
Okay, so, hey, Mark, your kid's not in school today? Oakland County?
Yep. Berkeley schools are out today. No power at her school.
So no power for the schools in Oakland County, and no schools in Detroit for the first 2 days of the year because they don't have any air conditioners.
But why?
I'll tell you why. During COVID, Uncle Sam sent $6 billion to Michigan for schools alone. Just schools. Not the $12 billion for all the bullshit we never did. $6 billion for the schools. That would be like HVAC systems. HVAC is heating, ventilation, and cooling. Is that what that is? Yeah. Thank you very much. Where's the air conditioners for the kids? Over half of that money went to administrative benefits and paychecks. So you can see
that's crazy.
The unseen hand of the lobbying.
That's crazy, Charlie.
That's insane.
And let's what are kids, how are they going to be penalized? They already got set back when they were out for COVID. They don't go to school in the winter because it's too cold. The schools are closed because it's too hot. Like, what is the right temperature to go to school?
Well, as a former Detroit City Council president once said, fuck the kids.
What was that?
Fuck the kids.
Who said that?
Charles Peel.
I just wanted you to remind so nobody.
Why
would
did
be
I have
confused.
to? I mean, that's fact. Did a lot of time for that. School kids. We're not looking out for them. Okay, for instance, I'm watching the Democratic National Committee. And then again, the Republicans got jack shit here, right? This is a party that working people took over because Democrats don't appeal to them anymore. They're not looking out for them. They're for NAFTA, Big Pharma, and all of that. So they take over the Republican Party. The MAGA and the working people are the rhinos, the Republicans in name only. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You're not the Republicans, the Ted Cruzes and the Mitch McConnells and the Bushes. That's the Republic, the country club. You just took it over.
Right.
But the Democrats, they become them. It is a uniparty. So I'm looking. Look at our representatives there, like Whitmer, Nessel, Slotkin, Mallory McMurder, the state senator with the big prop. You know, the book, the 2025. This is Trump's document. It's not Trump's document, right? Trump didn't say cut Medicare. They're not trying to ban abortion. This is scare politics. It's gaslighting, right? But they stylize their childhood. McMorrow and Whitmer and Slotkin, and they try to pretend they're us. They're people of privilege, and they pretend they're not because it works, right? Look at the latest budget. Ladies and gentlemen, on Labor Day, listen to me. The latest budget for the failing schools of Michigan, because we're in the bottom 10 now, right? The party of the schools. I'm going to round off here just to give you guys quick numbers. When Whitmer took office, the state budget was about $60 billion, right? It was actually less. This last one they passed is $80 billion. It's actually a little bit more. It's a 25% increase. Okay. The school kids got nothing. So I'm going to round up. Every public school kid gets 10 grand, follows you to your school.
Right.
Right? 10 grand. It was 10 grand last year, and it's 10 grand this year. But inflation was at least 5%. Michigan claims it was 5%. That means the kids took a 5% cut.
Right.
In order to make up some of that difference, the state in its wisdom said to the school districts, forget about making your payment to the teacher's pension fund. We got that. So now we just booked a debt. So teachers, remember, Detroit went bankrupt and they fucked the people and their pensions. So that's what you got coming. So the kids got less. There's about 1.5 million public school kids. Okay? Got that so far?
I think so.
Let's look at some of this money in this big budget that we can't fulfill. $1 billion goes to the Chinese battery maker that nobody wants. $1 billion where Whitmer, Slotkin, McMurrow signed non-disclosure agreements with a company controlled by the Chinese Communist Party. We gave them $1 billion and we're not allowed to know anything. $1 billion divided by 1.5 million kids is about $700. 5% inflation on 10,000 for the kid is about $500. We could have funded the kids, but we decided to fund the Chinese on some fucking boondoggle they won't tell us about. You see the game?
Yeah, I do see it, Charlie. I just wonder, do people see it or do they just choose to ignore it? Are they just tired, of being misled and misinformed and not cared about? I mean, where is the outrage, or where is the demand for more?
I just want some equity, inclusion, diversity, and truth.
Good luck.
An opportunity. And I'm not getting it. I'm smelling bullshit while you're screwing us and you're playing a game.
I mean, and my kids aren't in school. So, I mean, but I still look at it and I'm thinking, like, what happened? Like, why is it this way? We hear the lottery every 5 seconds talk about how much money goes into the schools. And it's like, why do they not have adequate ventilation, air conditioning?
This program is not about why. We're not asking. This is a problem with the media. right? Why don't you ask the tough questions? No. Why don't you learn the answer and then go ask the secondary question?
Well, I'm not even talking about in terms of the media, Charlie. I'm talking about
Well-
just the just residents in general. Nobody seems to
Again,
say
everybody's
anything.
a fucking crybaby.
Yeah.
Do your fucking work. You're killing me. It's pretty simple. The lottery does go to schools. But when they injected the lottery into the school system, they stopped funding the schools out of the budget. Mm-hmm. It was a shell game. If you don't know that by now, get with it. Let me tell you what these dopes, the big four dopes, right? First of all, there's also COVID that nobody wants to talk about. Nessa won't investigate COVID. Whitmer put sick old people in with healthy old people, and McMurder voted not to separate them. Voted against that bill. That bill passed, bipartisan. McMurder went against it, and Whitmer vetoed it. You still got to answer for that.
They should.
McMurder's on the ethics committee, right? Remember the bill we talked about, the Turks and Caicos bill, where you're not allowed to take gifts from powerful business concerns like Whitmer and her airplane and Nessel
Her trip.
with her trip and pretend she paid for it and won't show us the receipts. Where is that? That went through McMurder's committee. Won't touch it. We got no representation. We got dilettantes,
No accountability.
name callers, horse shit. We're dying on the vine out here. Mike Duggan, he's corrupt as shit, but he's an autocrat. The billionaire I'm talking to the other day, hey, he's pretty good for a Democrat. You mean he's the same as a Republican? You're getting what you want, and we're not getting anything. Right? You know what we do get? Do you remember we had Dave Bing on? Dave Bing, former honorable guy trying to crash land broke in Detroit during the bankruptcy, and we gave nearly $500 million to what was then Fiat Chrysler. Right, to fix the plant over there on the east side is going to create 10,000 jobs, and it's all going to be awesome. Remember that? 3 shifts, 10,000 people. We're going to make that money back in 17 years. Okay, well, happy Labor Day. Because talking to my people in the UAW and now Stellantis, because 2 months after we gave them the money,
Right.
Fiat merges with Stellantis, Peugeot. It's not even ours anymore. They're closing the Dodge Ram plant on 8 Mile Road in Warren. They're closing that fucker. That's 2,500 UAW jobs. 2,500 UAW jobs. And those pink slips come after Labor Day. You see what's happening?
Yeah.
Nobody wants to do any math.
Math is hard.
People go with their gut. I was talking to my mom about common sense, right? Common sense is good, people. Trust your gut. You have a household. You're making this much money. You're spending this much money. This is how much you want to save. You'll call Luke Nowacki at Pinnacle Wealth. He can walk you through it. That's good common sense. But at some point, they're playing upon your common sense, and you've got to know more. You've got to know what the schematic is with for Stellantis, or the Chinese getting the dough, or the fact that none of these dopes can stop. We're going to get, 6,000 cubic yards of radioactive dirt, and I forget how many thousands of gallons of radioactive water from New York's landfill that goes all the way back to the Manhattan Project in World War II. We're getting it in our deep injection wells here in Wayne County, right? Remember when East Palestine blew up and all those phosphogenes, and they're going to put that in here? They can do nothing for us? You're going to put radioactive waste in the Great Lakes Basin? You don't want to frack, but you'll break the ground open to put radioactive waste.
Gee, Charlie, this is scary.
This is important.
I know, but it's scary though. It's scary to think that the people that are in charge of making decisions that impact your quality of life don't care about you or your quality of life.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at just all the stuff that happened this week, like your quality of life and they're now engaged and not letting you know. It's warfare on independent and honest media. You saw Mark Zuckerberg. Yeah, I'm sure you talked about this on the
Oh yeah.
with Drew. Oh, by the way, we are part of the Red Shovel Network. It's the Drew Lane Show and the Soul of Detroit with ML Elric.
Do we have to go back to the lower level?
No.
No,
No.
just giving a shout out to our guys. What? Please describe for people that don't know the letter Zuckerberg wrote and what you make of it, Mark.
Yeah, he wrote a letter to Jim Jordan, basically saying, "Hey,
Jim Jordan is
the representative from Ohio
that runs the Judicial Committee of the Oversight.
Yeah, one of those.
Yeah.
Is this a quiz? I feel like I'm going to fail.
What?
No. But anyway, so he writes this letter saying, yeah, you know what? The Biden administration, the White House.
Jim Jordan's
well.
committee has been investigating the White House and the intel community, pressuring social media to suppress thoughts and ideas they don't like about COVID,
Exactly.
about the Russiagate, all that.
So he writes a letter basically saying, I cannot believe we acquiesced to these demands, and we shouldn't have, particularly regarding COVID misinformation, and there was another one too.
The Hunter laptop.
The Hunter Biden laptop, and pushing those down into the algorithm. Now, it's nice that he took responsibility for it. Is it shitty that the White House and the administration asked for that? Sure, but I understand why they would. It's like, I get more mad at the media organization for doing what they were asked to do when you shouldn't. You're a private company. You don't have to do that.
No.
Or do they?
And
Well, there is something about playing the game, I suppose.
That's what we're talking about.
But come on, Meta, they're pretty big. I don't think.
Yeah,
I mean,
but-
they're international. I don't think this government can do that much to
see
them.
what on the meta level. Thank you, but
So is that
a
what
lot
happened?
of the stuff that they suppressed was the truth.
Sure.
For instance,
or at least legitimate questions.
legitimate in science. Like, when I was working at Deadline Detroit, one of the liberal dopes over there, this was like September 2021, after the vaccines were out, and you couldn't get any data as to how they were working. And I went to the University Medical Center. Oh, and look at the hospitals are overwhelmed with people that didn't get the vaccine, right? 60% of the people in the hospitals have COVID that didn't get vaccines. And I'm like, well, how many people who did get the vaccines are in the hospital? And it was 40%. Mm-hmm. And I wrote it. And I was told by numbnuts over there, this is dangerous. I go, but it's dangerous to report data. It's dangerous to let you know what an august health center is reporting on this so people can make real decisions. So you want to censor that?
It's dangerous to report the truth. It's dangerous to report the truth, period.
So here's what happened to us during that period when we were in the lower level. We were doing these shows, man. We were doing Facebook at first, and then it happened. Mm-hmm. It was the show when one of the main engineers for the field hospital that was at former Cobo, former TCF, now Huntington Place, he was just talking about what a boondoggle and a waste of money and how they were hoarding equipment and PPE and all of this stuff. That show, before we got off the air, had 40,000 views, right? And that thing would go up to 50, 60. Really catching on. Then all of a sudden, after that show, every time it would be 1,500, maybe 4,000. These are like all-time lows. Like the first time we ever even came on the air, we never did that.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, wow. So when I had my time out, we were testing algorithms and stuff. So here's what happens. I accurately reported on COVID and the cover-up from the health department in this state and the governor's reaction to it. Accurately reporting data. Because we just said COVID and we offered a viewpoint that was countervailing to what they were pushing, we got community noted, we got squelched, didn't meet standards. It was the truth.
So that's it.
Or back in 2020 and in 2021, no 150,000 ballots were trucked into a Cobo Hall at 4 in the morning, right? I was there, blah, 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 blah. That one got taken down for election misinformation.
Yep.
How I was the only fucking reporter there. I was the only nonpartisan monitoring it. I was the one actually handling.
But that's the game, Charlie.
No, please. That's Chris Cuomo, who's going to be on later. He can say the game because He's at that high level, and he dines with them. Not us.
We are good enough to say
Life is not a game here.
No, it's not, Charlie.
not.
But we're pawns in the game.
Well, it's thievery. So when are we going to stand up? So Zuckerberg just admitted it.
And what's interesting about that too is, look, if I'm mad about it, I don't have to use Facebook, right? I don't like Facebook. I'm not really on it, so I can use Twitter. I can use another social media if I want to do that. I only have one government, right? And might say, you're what you choose. There just isn't a choice, as there is with what social media you want to use or what restaurant you want to eat at.
But
there's one government, and when it fails you, you're screwed.
But if they're in bed with them, then isn't that kind of a...
Now they're in bed with making money, and
that's what I'm saying.
sometimes
So
they use them.
there's an interaction that continues to penalize us and our alleged free speech.
It's maddening.
And Joe's on the beach. He was just on the beach on the West Coast, and now he's on the beach in the East Coast.
I mean, do you blame him? He's a lame duck. Where else to be but the water?
Ukraine is in Russia.
Someone else's problem in
the
a few
Israelis
months.
are bombing Lebanon.
He's still president.
Oh my
God! In a few months, it's someone else's problem.
It's a cabal. Now, in the meantime, before we bring you a word from our sponsor and have Chris Cuomo on because he's looking to catch a plane here, Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson, who can't clean up the rolls, right, the voter rolls, is pushing to keep RFK Jr. on the ballot, which is the law, keeping him on the ballot in the natural law party, right? Because they nominated him, and you can't disenfranchise a natural law party. So she's suing to keep him on. At the same time, she tossed Cornel West off because he didn't fill out his affidavit of identification, some bullshit that's not necessary in a federal election. So 7 times she's been called out by the courts for not following election law, and now she's trying to, use it. Just follow the law. And then she's got a snitch. She and Nessel have a snitch line. If you hear people giving disinformation about the elections, let us know. Well, what are you going to do about it?
Who's answering the phone? Who's monitoring?
What are you going to do about it? Here's one. This one's the truth. Illegal aliens can vote if they decide to claim that they're a resident. If they decide to commit fraud, there's no way to check on them. It's simply an oath. No ID required, no proof of citizenship required, no social security required. You just go, you fill it out, and on the back you say, I swear what I said is true. They're not allowed to vote by federal law, but there's no mechanism to stop them. I'm not saying they're going to, but I'm just sick of dope tards trying to, tell me what's what. I'm just saying. And the longer this goes on, the more people don't believe in it. The more people don't believe in it, the more we're at each other's necks. And the more that we're at each other's necks, I can't sleep. You have a nice meal. Have a nice meal before you go to bed. Listen, it's football season. It's shaping up to be good. Shaping up to be good. Now's the time to get yourself a Coney kit from American Coney Island. They got a dozen dogs made especially and only for American Coney Island. Quart of chili made especially and only for American Coney Island. Sweet onions, steamer buns, and a nice hat for the kids. You just go to AmericanConeyIsland.com. That'll arrive on your door in 2 days. You can expedite it if you want it overnight. 2 days, you've got Detroit in your living room, at your football games, at your parties, at your bar mitzvahs, at your quinceanera. Thank you. It's been a while since I said that one. Right? At your bachelor party, now's the time. Right? Everything's nice and slow now, man. Get a little.
Or maybe you just want one for dinner.
Little piece.
Doesn't have to be a special event.
Well, if you want one for dinner, you just jump on in the car and you come on down. Wait, don't know me. I'm in the middle of a bit. You come on down to the heart and soul of downtown Detroit at Lafayette and Michigan Avenue. It's the big red, white, and blue store that looks like the shape of a pie. Now go ahead.
Okay, I was saying that we're spoiled these days where we have our groceries and our food delivered. So if you're in that spoiled set and you just want it for dinner, you can still order it and have it delivered.
That's on you, man. I do it
That's
on
all?
DoorDash.
I didn't say you should. I'm just saying it's an option, Charlie.
Come on down.
Bless it.
Come on down and look at the riverfront and all of our empty skyscrapers that we're paying for. Come on.
Find a parking
Take a
space.
look. Yeah, don't forget. Yeah, the only agency that really works in this city is the parking police.
It is crazy, Charlie.
Beware of that.
It's almost like they don't want people to come down here.
Go down to my friend Mohammed's lot. It's right across from the courthouse. It's
I'm not
it's
talking.
very
I'm
reasonable.
not talk to Grace about a valet service. I think that would just actually class up the joint.
We offered to do it. Okay, she pays him cheesecake. They valet her. Maybe if you just dress like cheesecake, that'll work. I don't know. But we also did mention to you, things are getting serious. No matter how they want to manipulate statistical data in terms of jobs. And look, let me. I was going back and forth with Luke Nowak. I want him to explain to me, because we're looking at Trump, Biden, Harris, the economics, what's going on, and there's a number. It's real wages. Real wages meaning we're gonna how much do you make minus inflation?
Okay.
And you need to compare that to a year. So that year is 2012, 13, 14, 15, all the way to 2021.
Okay.
So real wages have gone down 2% under Biden Harris. Okay. That means that's measured by hourly. Okay. So yes, hourly pay has gone up. But the thing is, hours worked has not. Those have gone down. Part-time jobs, right? We've gone from 35 hours a week to 33 hours a week. Okay. There's something else called real disposable income. What that is your paycheck minus the taxes. Okay. That's the one you measure, not your hourly average. Disposable income has gone down 8%, right? Inflation has gone up 20%. Well, real disposable. So you feel it's a 10% difference at the grocery store. That's what everybody's bitching about, and everybody's playing with numbers. So if you're not sure if the politicians are lying to you, or the media is lying to you, or the data's lying to you, go to somebody that's going to work for you and tell you the truth. Luke Nowacki at Pinnacle Wealth, 248-663-4748. I don't know, when the stock market's going up and bond prices are going up and the price of gold is going up, something's not right. That means the markets don't know. I wouldn't go it alone. I wouldn't. Look, he's not going to take your savings. You know what I mean? Call him and ask.
And Charlie, what we've been saying since we started this show is don't feel like you have to make a certain amount of money to be able to have a conversation about the money that you have and that you do make.
If you have any savings or any investment, or you're thinking about doing
Or
it,
if you want some.
right? Ask him if it's a percentage. How does he earn money? Look, he makes house calls. I'm just telling you.
But I mean, people always think that, I don't make that much money. That's not a conversation that I'm entitled to have. But it is. If, having zero is a starting point. You have to have a starting point and a goal.
Luke Nowacki, 248-663-4748. And finally, Archangel Senior Management. This is working.
Good.
There are people interested. Just talking to Joe LeBlanc, the CEO of Archangel. And he wants to let you know, if you're an entrepreneur and you're looking for a safe and socially responsible real estate investment, if you have a home and you're looking to do something with it, right? Consider contacting Archangel Senior Management. Senior living is one of the fastest growing markets in America after healthcare, right? They offer small communal living for senior citizens in homes right inside neighborhoods, wholesome neighborhoods where people live. So it's integrated.
And that's where they want to be.
Right. You're not left to rot and go numb. So for the investor, this is the antithesis of the corporate nursing homes. Archangels forms partnerships with nursing school and Majestic Residences, which is a home-based assisted living franchise system. So it's all in one. The partnership provides authentic caregivers with the tools and training necessary to manage the homes that Archangel investors can feel secure in investing in. The care's genuine, the owners are local, and Archangel has Overwatch. If you're interested in a trailblazing opportunity because it's all changing, contact Archangel at 989-614-0416. Now, let's just play a little interlude. Let me go get some... Well, I got to go to the bathroom. And then we'll be right back with Chris Cuomo.
Press.
Press.
Press. Press. Pull.
So the Democratic National Convention was last week, and I know it was last week, but to me, right, and I think to Twitter, that is the world's newspaper. You wake up, everybody's like, what's going on? You look at Twitter, it aggregates for you. That the moment that was unrehearsed was when Chris Cuomo was on the floor of the convention, and he does a live shot, and he comes up with this. Mark, we have that clip?
A big theme here at the DNC is that they're going to go after corporate gouging. And they're going to go after corporations, whether it's in taxes, largesse, loopholes. The RNC, we heard the same thing. They're going after the elites, the two sets of rules. Let me reveal a reality to you that has to be spoken to here, okay? These are the soldiers. These are the men and the women that go back to their constituencies and their communities, and they fight. They take time from their jobs. They take time from their families. Republicans and Democrats alike, that's what they do. They need to charge these people up. They need to be able to get them on board. But there's another reality that is literally looking down on them. Greg, look at the ring of sweets, okay? This is not unique to Democrats. There is a game of money. When people talk about uniparty, we are strangled by the money reality in our politics. Those suites start at 500 grand. You think there's like a teacher group up in there? You think it's like the Cub Scouts of Columbia County, South Carolina, that's up in those boxes? Some of them are lobbies and good things. The media boxes, you think they're free? Why do you think I'm on the floor? News Nation is not a broke company. Nexstar is a massive organization. We are corporate media. We don't have one of those boxes because that's the game. You pay to play. Those boxes are filled with the same people that they say they're going to regulate.
So what this now is Chris Cuomo's, it's in some airport, it's the top of his head. Chris, move your camera down, bro. There you go. What's going on, dude? Where you at, Kennedy?
I'm at Kennedy. I'm flying down to Florida to do some work down there. And I'm sorry, I thought if I was holding the camera this low, I was going to be hitting you with my junk. But I had the I had the angle wrong. So
that's what the gossip pages say. It's junk, bro. It's junk.
But you know the convention. I didn't say anything that you don't know, Charlie, and that you and I haven't talked about for years. And it's one of the reasons that I love much is that you bring the sophistication of big J journalism, but you always apply it to how it affects the most people in the most obvious ways. And money has just gotten so absurd. You know, the year 2000, we spent $200 million on the presidential election. That's a ton. They're now estimating $10 billion in this election. You tell me that those people are getting nothing for the money? You tell me that you see right on the menu for the RNC that if you pay $5 million, you get a meeting with the elected leadership. I mean, look, we all know that's how it is. People just need to know how obvious it is, how intractable it is. So if somebody tells you they're going to do something to that group, they're just FOS.
Now, how did that soliloquy come about? You're sitting there. Look, I've been to these conventions. I always look for the absurdity. I know the upper bowl you're talking about. Is it something that just built up over the days, or are you live and you're like, hey, wait a minute, whatever your cameraman's name is, Ken, take a shot up there? Were you thinking about that?
So no, here's what happened. So I'm walking around where we had a shot up high in case they wouldn't let me stay on the floor. And as I was walking past the suites, they all have these curtains, and they pull the curtains when people come in. And, you know, you can edit this later, but I was walking by one, and I'm looking in, and there's some people in their meeting, and they see me, and they walk over, and they close the curtain. And I was like, you got to be fucking kidding me. You think you're going to close the fucking curtain? You just asked to take a picture with me 5 minutes ago. I saw the same people walking up there. And I just realized that for all that was being talked about with price gouging and deep state, and it's all nonsense. The money is what fuels the madness. So I just, the beauty for me, as you know, working with me at News Nation, I say what I want. I do what I want. And, that would have been a little bit of a harder sell anywhere else in terms of, well, what are you saying? What are you trying to say? I said what I wanted to say. And I did not expect it to resonate the way it did because I thought it was a pretty obvious point. But then people started messing with me about how I was exaggerating the point. So I did it again when I got back with the list of the top 10 donors and the corporations. I mean, the money is crazy. And the biggest lie within the money, because it's all legal because it's Citizens United, is, oh, no, we're small dollar donations. Look, anybody who has to think for a living, what's more impressive? 100 people who give you $1 or one guy who gives you $100? Okay.
But don't you think this is lost on
the totals are close?
But Chris, do you think this is lost on just the average American, that they really think that the dollars and that the people are concerned about them, and when in actuality it is the one thing that you called it? It's a game, and we as citizens are losing.
We don't talk about it enough. People are smart, as you both know. Your show. One of the reasons I love watching you guys is your real independent media, and you know the power of narrative. And if you don't talk about it, like Trump is a great salesman in this way. He says everything 3 times. You pose it as a suggestion, then you make it as a likely question, then you make it a conclusion. Maybe I should run for this. A lot of people say I should run. I mean, obviously I have to run. That's the way you reinforce message. We don't do that with money. We don't do that with a lot of the dynamics. And that's why I call it the game so often. It's not that I don't respect our electoral process. I just don't respect the way that they're treating it. And we have to do it more. And it's something that I can do at News Nation that I think is really important, especially when you're catering to an audience that's largely independent. Not that I'm against people choosing parties. I get that you have to. I just think it sucks that you have to when the 2 parties don't care about anything but a battle to the bottom. And if you needed proof of that, look at Trump and Biden. There's a reason 7 out of 10 Americans wanted neither. The only people who can be happy with that product are people who don't give a shit about their product as long as it's, capable of saying that the other one is worse. And we gotta change it. And that's how
I haven't
change
said
it.
that. Like you said, you're glad you can be at News Nation because you can say that. You might not be able to do that at the other networks, but the reach at this point is, still larger at CNN. So do you miss that perch at all, or are you in a good
every
place?
Every day, every minute? I am not in a good place. I'm trying. I'm working on myself. Charlie and I, for you guys who are watching this, Charlie and I are friends. He's been a big brother to me. I don't have a professional relationship with him. I have a personal relationship with him. I'm a big fucking fan. But for me, it's a struggle, man. If I had done that piece at CNN, it would have been dominating the dialogue for 2-3 days, and people would have had to respond to it, and they would have had to weigh in, and they would have had to, and I miss that, and I hate why it was taken from me. But you deal with life on life's terms, and I'm fortunate to be at News Nation. I could have been nowhere. Is it a much smaller footprint? Yeah. Does that suck? Yeah, it does to me. But I am where I am, and I'm lucky to be anywhere at all.
Karen, you want to get him to a good place before he gets on the plane?
No, Chris, I've shared some information with Chris, and he knows that he is good at what he does and who he is, and he is making the best of it. And I know that he's making a difference, and just continue to do that, Chris. You will win. That's what Charlie and I talk about all the time. What's the end game? The end game is to win, and that win looks like continuing to make a difference and change perspective and give people information that they wouldn't otherwise have access to.
Let's be honest, Chris, here. Look, your home's paid for, your family's healthy.
He's got celebrity issues.
Right.
He's taking pictures.
You now get to say what you want. You know what I mean? It resonated, man. You just keep going and build it and build it.
Yeah.
Because it's really strange
Charlie,
bedfellows.
That's why I reached out to you, Charlie. Not because I've just always been a fan of how. You won the Pulitzer. It's like, to me, I'm much more impressed about how ambitious and dogged and determined you are. I hope your audience, I think they get it about you, but I've never seen anything like it. When we were in East Palestine, and by the way, one of the people that we were with there recently passed away, and
Oh.
she should not have died. And it's probably because this was just all too much for her. She had been out of her house. She was homeless. She was living on people giving her things for her and her kids. I'll tell you more about it offline. But, you know, you care so much. And to me, it's like fuel. And that's why I reached out to you to help me at News Nation, because I knew that you are the spirit animal for exactly what I want that place to be. True citizen journalist. And anybody who knows me knows I give zero fucks for blowing smoke at anybody. I've been treated badly by enough people where I don't gratuitously compliment anybody. And I'm trying to make it something that can be a home for critical thinking independents who don't want to be co-opted by parties. And I know that's not picking a side. I know it's harder to grow that way. I don't care. I'm going for quality over quantity.
Yeah, I want art and fun in the stuff too. Having said that, what do you make? Two things I want to get to. I know you got to catch the plane. RFK Jr. joining the Trump team and you know, co-chairman with Tulsi Gabbard of the transition team, if that comes to play. What do you make of that? I mean, now we're talking about food and health.
Yeah, I think if I'm Bobby's guy, I don't like it. If I'm Trump's guy, I love it. Because you literally gave nothing. There's no position. You promised him a position in the first administration. You gave him nothing. He could have taken some votes for you in places that matter. If I were Bobby's guy, I would have said, look, you got to suspend it because Shanahan's making less and less sense for you. And you're out of money. You're getting off the ballots. Don't endorse because you'll have more juice. Because they'll, especially as you get closer to November, and you'll be the commentator in chief, and all the media will want you now that you're not a threat to their, you know, respect for the duopoly. But I don't know that it's necessarily bad for Democrats. I think it consolidates their case against perceived crazy, even though I don't think that's a fair portrayal of Kennedy. So that's my take on it.
The first debate that Kamala Harris has agreed to is on CNN with Tim Walz. Everybody's saying that
ABC.
No, it's on
ABC.
CNN. On
First
Thursday.
interview.
The first interview the first interview that she's agreed to, but it's with Tim Walz, and everybody it's taped, it's packaged, it's presented. What are your thoughts on that? And will we ever really get to see what we are being asked to elect?
They haven't handled this narrative well. This is a truncated period of time. She said literally had like 5-6 weeks to get it all together. It's not that crazy when you look at it in context. As a member of the media, I think you should be doing shit all the time. I think if you're going to have events, you should also be taking press questions at the events. Sitting down with Walz is going to make her look weak. And they had when they made the choice. Dana Bash is the real deal, okay? I know her personally. I know her professionally. This is another reason for me to be jealous of her for the access that she's having to them. But she is not a pawn, and she is not a patsy. So it'll be a legit interview, and then they have to keep doing them. The idea that, we should all be, how do we feel about this one as if it's the only one we're going to have? You know, we shouldn't be assessing who she's doing interviews with because she should do so many that we don't worry about access. And I think that's the only bar that she has to meet. She has to do more.
It's demoralizing because it's like so much is being made of one
because
interview.
There's been no conversation.
One
between.
interview and one debate. This isn't. Obviously, she's flip-flopping in the polls. I don't believe the polls, not because I'm a denialist. You can hire anybody to make any poll you want. But there's no way for me to really gauge what she's really about. Are you for a border wall? Are you for right?
Yeah, you're right. You're right. She's been completely spineless. And I don't mean that she's a coward. I'm saying that she's been completely malleable. And that is fair. And you know who says it, Charlie? Not Karen, not you, not me. Democratic representatives in Congress, 10 of them at least, said it to me at the convention. You know, I don't know where she is on the Iran deal. You know, I don't know where she is on this. You know, I don't know where she really is on fracking. Yeah, that's because she doesn't say anything.
Yeah.
And we think that they all sit in a back room and come up with a deal. It's not like that, especially for the Democrats. They're a bunch of cats. All right, I got to jump. They're going to lose my seat, and then I'm going to wind up working for you.
Wow.
Safe travels,
what
Chris.
Used to be. I used to turn CNN down for appearances. Wow.
I'm gonna wind up working for Charlie, not as a journalist. I'm gonna wind up like packing beans and franks or something like that, running cable for him.
Okay.
I'm not deigning. This isn't a journalist enterprise I'm worried about. I think I'm gonna be painting houses for you, or what are your side hustles?
Speaking of enterprise and running through the airport, our OJ Cuomo has got to make it to the plane, so we're going to say goodbye. And
there's another
on the other
celebrity
side of the outro, we'll play you a little bit of Chris's workout regimen and what he recommends for the older set. Thanks, Chris.
Oh, he's showing
look
you
at
his
that! Look at that! Look at the
Hey,
guns.
he's got time. First class boards first. All right, Chris. See ya. Safe travels.
See you. Thank you very much for the opportunity, guys. I love what you're doing.
We'll see you, brother.
You know, first class boards first. He's good.
He's got no class. Come on. He's still down about that CNN stuff.
Yeah, well, you know, and I think it happens at every level. I know a person who got let go
The
from a
lower
job
level,
that they've had.
lower level.
At every lower, but it does because people take their positions personally, and they forget that it's still a business. And so, you know, when they do and they have to go, and it's like, wow, what did I do? What did, you know? They see it as a personal attack.
You know what's interesting is yesterday it was lunch rush here at the Coney, and I hadn't finished snaking the drains, the sewer drains. Very old bill. You want to make sure they're clear. So during lunch hour, trust me, I learned this by lesson. You don't want to snake sewer drains during lunch rush. So, I'm waiting, and then at the corner of Lafayette and Michigan Avenue here. By the way, Michigan Avenue starts right here. Michigan Avenue goes from Detroit all the way to Chicago, and it starts right here at the Coney. 115 Michigan Avenue. So I'm like, okay, somebody threw a mulch on the window. I go out there, I'm cleaning it up, and a very prominent Detroiter, very prominent, big businessman, lots of money, right? And they're looking at me like they're surprised I'm cleaning windows. He goes, "Is that what you're doing now?" I go, "It's what I do one day a week." A man got to earn his health care because at American Coney Island, it's a great place. They have a health plan. And he goes, "Are you writing anymore?" I go, "Yeah, you can still sign my name, but I'm getting the look from him like how far you've fallen." And he's in the game. We're talking about Duggan, we're talking about Whitmer, we're talking about the Trump, Harris. He knows all of them. They all come to him, and I'm like, man, you don't get it. Like, the city comes to me here. Yeah, I'm still a reporter, but I think working people should see a reporter working so they understand he understands them, and he's from them, and he's of them, and this bullshit silk,
not from an
leather,
observation,
brown shoes. Like, I know what's going on here. And the city comes to me because if I wanted to reach this man in his offices, you know how long it would take me? Because he knows who I am. And when we're talking about the city of Detroit, yeah, well, Duggan's a technocrat. He's good for a Democrat. What's he saying? He'd take a Republican as long as they did the same thing. It's the same.
It is the same
fucking
It is.
thing.
But Charlie, that too speaks to the fact that people and their perceptions about a position and about, what they should and should not do in that professional role. You cut your lawn, you shop, you go grocery shopping, you do the same thing. So that whole elitist approach, just because you have a public position, should be abandoned.
Hey, what strange bedfellows the media is now. You got the Tucker Carlson's doing podcasts. Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan was a birdie bro.
Don Lemon on doing street
Don
stuff.
Lemon. You got Matt Taibbi, Michael Schellenberger, Barry Weiss, right? Like, these are all over the political map. Bobby Kennedy. Like, there's a shift. The Democratic Party doesn't work for working people anymore. Not really, right?
No.
It's elite. It's like soft, perky socialism at the top and raw, naked, oligarchical capitalism at the bottom, where we're tearing at each other. So working people gravitating over towards the Republicans, but they don't represent them at all.
No, they
like
don't.
The leadership doesn't at all. Like, what is it, Cancun cruise?
Yeah.
I mean, seriously.
Well, but that's the thing. And that's when Chris said, it's a game, and he's talking about it in terms of the money and the access, those things influence decisions. It is a game. And people have mistakenly believed that they have some role, responsibility, or impact or influence on it.
Agree 100%. But let's stop calling it the game, because it's not a game. As we started the show off today, 850,000 human beings, 1 out of every 12 people living in Michigan, is in the dark.
Yeah, you're right.
It's a game. This is, for keeps. The food is poisoned. The soil is poisoned, right? The Ram plant on Warren is gone. Really? Game? This is for... Here's what you got to do. Get yourself in shape. And here's Chris Cuomo recommending a workout for the Silver Fox crowd. Better to lift heavy things like some people say, or is it better to use your body like other people say?
I think you have to condition your body first, and then you can start using resistance. Obviously, muscle confusion is the key to growth. You can always grow. It doesn't matter if you're 30 or 60. But body weight strength, plyometric strength is very, very important.
I think at our age, right? Because let's face it, as you read about food and everything else, I'm not looking for mass. I'm looking to just keep what I have and make sure I can move my body
You look
around.
great. You look great. You want functional strength.